Hi, I'm Glean's founder, Howard Katzenberg, and thank you very much for joining us in our demo day today. Today, I'm going to speak about my own personal experience managing vendor spend and the challenges I had as a CFO being strategic as opposed to just tactical, and really why I started Glean to help solve that problem. I'll give a product demonstration for about 20 minutes, and then I'll wrap up with just explaining how easy it is to get started with Glean. So, from my own personal background, I am the founder of Glean. I'm a former CFO turned founder now, and love all things fintech. And throughout my career, has always been associated with taking new data sources, bridging technologies, moving offline processes online, and we're doing that with Glean. Very specifically, as a former CFO, I always had really good visibility into what was driving the revenue of my companies. And I'd set up dashboards in Tableau or Looker. And at any time in the month, I'd be able to tell you where exactly we were from a GAAP revenue perspective, compare it to the same month-to-date period in the prior month, and then explain with a very high degree of fidelity what was driving any change. Was it top of the funnel growth? Was it conversion rate changes? Was it churn dynamics? I could always double click in my dashboards and get to the core answer. It was the exact opposite situation when it came to managing the spend. We did not have any real-time dashboards where I can tell you how we were performing intra-month. Instead, I have to wait 3 weeks after the end of the month when the accounting close finally occurred to get like my one and only report, which was an Excel export out of QuickBooks or NetSuite, whatever GL system we were using at the time, where the rows of that spreadsheet were the vendors we were using, the columns were the months, the cells were the dollar amounts. But my frustration each month when I saw that report was I'd see new vendors that were new. I wouldn't know who they were. I'd want to double click on the name, but I couldn't, right? And I want to understand, why did we choose them? Who brought them on board? What are they doing for us? Is it a one-time, a transaction, or is it recurring? And you can't get the answer. Similarly, I would have vendors I knew very well, like AWS, jump from 40,000 one month to 60,000 the next, and not know why. And to get the answer, you have to find the invoices, maybe do some manual calculation, follow up with the budget owner who may not know exactly what's going on. To me, it was a very manual, broken process. And when I thought about this problem overall and looked at the existing tools that my teams were using, Bill.com for bill pay, Brex for on the corporate card side, Google Sheets for budgeting, they were all very tactical, and none of those solutions were talking to each other. I saw an enormous opportunity to be much more strategic and help answer, why did we choose this vendor? Do we have a good deal with them? Is our pricing good? When's the next renewal opportunity come up? When can we negotiate? Ultimately, are we seeing ROI? So really, that's what Glean's all about. So just to reiterate, why is strategic spend management hard? First, as your companies grow, it's more likely you don't know what every vendor does, so you lack context. And in addition, the source of truth for all finance teams is what's in that general ledger. So until the accounting close, you lack that real-time visibility into your spend. Anytime you want to do spend analytics, it's manual. And basically, the combination of all these factors leads to people not talking to each other. There's not great alignment on kind of where people are spending and why. And that results in, just a lack of spend accountability that could permeate your culture. So Glean wants to solve that. And when I thought about, as a CFO, kind of what the root cause was, my hypothesis was that it was a data problem. Like I said, the source of truth is the general ledger for all finance teams. But most general ledger, most accounting systems only really care about who the vendor is and the amount that's being paid or is owed to the vendor. They're ignoring all of this other rich information off an invoice. And I thought, if I could really unlock this line item data and like the true power of it, this is the type of stuff, anytime I would do a manual audit of our expenses, where I dig in and see, all right, well, why did we buy these two new services over the last couple months? Can we move from a monthly plan to annual? What are the consumption trends? Can we, if it's gone up 2x over the last year, can we negotiate a discount on our pricing here? So armed with this data, me and my teams could ask much more pointed, direct questions and understand the relationship in much greater detail, and hold our team accountable as a result. So that's really what Glean does, and that's really our special sauce. We take that line item information and then generate alerts or insights based on it in real time. In the product, we call those insights gleans. So we took the verb glean and we made a noun out of it. And in the product, and you'll see this in the demo, if you have set a budget, the day the bill comes in, we'll alert you and your team if you're over budget. And then we'll provide context if it's a big monthly increase. Why did the bill go up? Not just the amount, but like what were the drivers? Were new things added? Were specific line items changed? If you're overpaying with a vendor for a specific product or service, our data set has grown pretty significantly at this point. So we can point out, or we can let you know if discounts are available, if you can negotiate a better deal. All new vendor alerts, all new significant new items that are added will be called out in an alert. Upcoming renewals, you'll get notifications on that. If you have to terminate relationships, if there's a notice period, you'll get notices on that. If your payment terms, if you're paying net 30, but we've seen net 60 or net 90 with other customers, we'll let you know this. So this really is a game changer for how your team can be much more strategic and really proactive in managing their spend. And I'll come back. I'll refer to this slide in the product demo. But the whole idea behind Glean is, with better and more granular data, that's going to lead to insights that just probably weren't generated in the past, and those insights will promote healthier conversations. Again, these conversations probably weren't happening either. Based on those conversations, that can lead to action, either better negotiated deals or smarter spend decisions. As this cycle repeats itself, and what we're hearing from customers is that they're able to really inculcate a much healthier spend culture where the people outside of finance are spending like owners, and being a great partner and ensuring spend efficiency. So what you get with Glean, if you go to the website, you'll see a lot of messaging around intelligent AP. We're certainly an AP company. We have AP capabilities very similar to some of the companies on this side, but we are much more than just bill pay. We offer that smart automation, but on top of that, every bill is going to generate some analytics. You can compare it to prior periods. And then there's vendor management as well in Glean. So before the spend occurs, you can request approval for new vendors or new purchases. You can store all relevant documents, contracts, agreements, MSAs, NDAs, etc., at the vendor level, and then even plan for future spend. What should spend look like with this vendor in the future? So the combination really enables teams to get full control over their vendor spend. We spent 2 years building the product, and we just came out of stealth mode in 2020, but we've been growing very significantly ever since. And our customers are giving us great feedback, not just on the efficiency and the analytics that we bring, but the collaboration, the ability to combine analytics through the platform and collaborate to drive savings is great. So now I'm going to transfer it over to the product demo part of the presentation. And I'm going to highlight 3 things. First is how Glean really enables real-time visibility into your spend. Second is how we are empowering not just finance teams, but all people who are touching the spend, giving them context on what the relationships are about, as well as why bills are changing month over month. And then you'll see how the combination of that really drives savings for companies. If we have some time, I will then show you the nuts and bolts of just how bills get approved, how bills get paid, how we receive invoices into the system, etc. All right, so let's start here. This is Glean's homepage. This is not a demo environment. This is showing me basically how we spend month over month. And in real time, as the bills are coming in, I can see through the 20th of September, that we spent 158,000. That's down 16,000 from the same month-to-date period last month. I'm also able to see my top vendors in the period who had the biggest increases and decreases. And then here on the left-hand side, this is like the tactical part of Glean where I can take action. I'll come back to that. But I'm getting my Glean feed where I can see some of the recent spend trends or alerts that I should know about. So I have a budget set with HubSpot, and I exceeded that by $623. I'm finding that out the day the invoice came in. Also, my spend is over 200% higher than the same month-to-date period in 2021. So that to me is maybe a sign that I should negotiate a better deal next time because I'm paying them a lot more this year versus last year. My spend with NetSuite has now exceeded my full year level. I'm just going to click here where you can see other Glean types here. Every new vendor will be called out. You'll get a description of what they do. Upcoming renewals. You can see the upcoming renewal for Outplay and Lead IQ. We'll call that out 90 days in advance. And even things like accruals. So with Google Ads, they didn't bill us in August. If I click here, you can see that, yeah, they had billed us historically, did not bill us in August. And using one of the collaboration features in Glean, when I saw that alert, I messaged to our head of marketing, and then he sent it in on September 9th. And that's this bill over here. So that's your Glean feed. And again, we're just trying to allow teams to be much more proactive in identifying anomalous spend or negotiation opportunities, upcoming renewals, et cetera, and help automate some of the accounting there as well. One thing I didn't show you, if you're still kind of working on last month and you need to explain what happened, we can, with the click of a button, you can easily compare last month to 2 months ago. So for August, Glean spent $59,000 less than we did in July. And this is where context comes in. Now, with the click of a button, this is one of the most loved features of Glean. I can see like who my top vendors were. Over here on the right side, we break down the variance into vendors that increased, vendors that decreased, who was new that we had never seen before. And the biggest driver of the variance was a decline in my Datadog spend. And I know that we had entered into our annual renewal in July, and that bill didn't occur again in August. But all these numbers are clickable. I can see the 2 new vendors that we used for the first time. And that would have taken me like 10 minutes in the past to program it into Excel to figure out who was new. And then I can dig in. This is a big driver of the variance was the 13 vendors that declined for 89,000. So here's a sorting of that. I know what happened with Datadog, but if I wanted to see JustWorks, that's like the PEO we use for payroll. If I wanted to dig into the 7% monthly decline, with a click of a button, I can do that because Glean is lifting all the line item information off of the invoices and then enabling me to do easy comparisons. So I can see the total decrease was 13,000. The largest driver was a decrease in salary for 19,000. It looked like it was combined with about 2K increase in our medical costs offset by severance payment. So this is really where the context comes in. I'm getting that answer in seconds, not hours, right? And the amazing thing is, if I went to JustWorks' website, I cannot pull this type of analysis. I can only do it through Glean. So that's really the beauty. Now let me show you how this comes together to drive savings for companies. So I'm going to show you the invoice view here of Glean. Anyone who is tagged to a specific vendor as an approver will get an email anytime a new invoice is received and say, hey, please click here to review the bill, review and approve it. So this is the invoice view in Glean. I've chosen AWS because it's one of the top vendors everyone is aware of. But they have terrible invoices. Look, it's many pages. They have all these like line items or services that we're purchasing that I don't really know what they do. It's not sorted in any particular order. My largest driver here was my EC2 spend for $37.99, but it's not at the top of the list. And then lastly, I only see kind of my April activity. I don't know what March, February, or January look like. So Glean changes all of that. First off, on the right side here, I can see how this month compares to prior months. And to the extent I wanted to click into another month, very easy to do so in Glean. I can see that invoice here. We extract all of the information off of the page. There is no data entry required in Glean. So not only are we extracting this information, which is editable, but we'll extract the line item information as well. So on this view, I can see, what was my largest line item on this invoice, and it was my EC2 for 3619. But more important, I can see how this has trended over time. There is no other platform that has that level of visibility on your vendor spend. It can track that time series view. Once we have all that line item information structured, we can then tell you the story of the invoice. And on this invoice, we do that through Gleans. First off, it's this is a receipt. It was paid with credit card, so we mark it as paid external. And one of the first Gleans here is like, do not pay this bill. We want to avoid duplicate payments. But then I start getting the context here that first I had a $9,000 monthly budget for AWS. It's up, it's over budget by almost $1,000. And now I understand why. Versus March, it's actually up 22%. And the largest driver of the increase was something called Amazon Guard Duty, which was billed 1081 this month, but wasn't billed last month. And in fact, Guard Duty was new. In the prior 8 months, we had never seen this line item. So we've generated this insight. And you'll see in a second how that insight led to a conversation. This last Glean is an accounting Glean that you can see that the invoice date is in April, but the service is in March. So we want to make sure that you account for it in the right proper period. All right, but now getting back to that insight, I click here in the comments tab, and you can see the conversation that ensued between the two people on my team that manage AWS. Encore asked Artie, could you comment on the new line item? Is it SOC 2 related? Artie wrote back, yeah, it's a threat detection system from AWS. Datadog has a similar offering. I'll do a price comparison. And then 2 days later, Artie says, I'll move it over to Datadog and next month's bill should be lower. So I highlight this invoice for 3 reasons. First, if we were using another AP solution, this conversation would never have happened. We would have continued to be overspending on Guard Duty. Second, me as the CEO, I don't have necessary context on what Guard Duty is, but now through this conversation, but I am concerned, by the way, that the bill is up $1,000. And now through this conversation, I very quickly can see that it's in support of our SOC 2 initiative, which is good. Third, and most important, this line of questioning and commenting led Artie, he felt compelled to seek a cheaper solution. And if I show you the next month here and do the one-click variance analysis, you can see here that the month-over-month bill was down $800. The largest driver was Amazon Guard Duty, down $932, because Artie moved it over to Datadog. And you can see it went down from 1081 to 150. So that, my friends, is really the magic of Glean and how we can empower savings in our process. Let me show some other types of Gleans that can be generated here. Here's a Zoom invoice, where if you take a look at this, it's a pretty complicated invoice. It's like a very positive number here offset with a negative number over here. In essence, we basically just increased the number of seats by 3, and we were paying $200 a seat. So some of the Gleans here, we'll call out that all that's happened on this invoice is that we had 3 new standard biz users moving from 10 to 13. And this one is really unique. There is another customer of Glean that is paying for the same thing, standard biz and the annual version of it, but getting an effective rate of $139 a month. So next time, if I can negotiate that type of discount on this product, that's about an $800 savings for me for my 13 seats. What else? We do prepaid amortizations. So here's an invoice from Greenhouse. You can see the Glean here. It's the first Greenhouse invoice. So you get the description of what they do. And then we're calling out that it's a prepaid because we're lifting the service dates off of the invoice. So up here, it's actually detecting an amortization, and I can very easily set one up. So it's lifting the start date and end date off the page. By the way, we can use this for fixed asset depreciation as well. And if I wanted a 3-year schedule for buying some laptops, I could mark a 3-year end date there. I can change my default prepaid account to some fixed asset account. And this is the expense category tagged to Greenhouse, although you can choose other accounts. By the way, we do integrate with all major accounting systems: NetSuite, QuickBooks, Xero, and Sage Intacct, Microsoft Dynamics as well, 360. So if I click Generate Schedule, upon approval of this bill, it'll create the bill in your general ledger system. And then on each of these dates, basically we will credit prepaid expense, send a journal entry to your your GL system, and debit recruiting expense. Now, we don't if you wanted to modify this schedule, there's the flexibility to do so. So for instance, if my July books are closed, I can delete and I'll apply this 551 balance to another month, or I can add another month here. So it's very, very flexible in terms of how you manage that. One of the most loved features of Glean. All right, so let me now show a couple of other things. First, how vendor relationships get married, and then how bills get managed, and then how bills get paid. So each vendor, basically, I chose Datadog here because there's a bill that's not paid yet, so I'm going to do that in a bit. But each vendor has their own page where you can see what's outstanding, what's been charged year to date. You can see the spend analytics historically here, what your top line items are over the last couple of months, any gleans that are outstanding. I can also go to an invoice, like historical invoice tab, and see what the status is for any recent invoices, what the payment status is, and even see conversations occurring about some of these bills. And if I wanted to, I could tag teammates and add to those conversations. We're seeing a lot of teams, even just accounting teams, ask, hey, what category should this go to? Does this fit in our prepaid policy? Lots of collaboration at the invoice level. All right, so moving along a line here, you can see just historical trends where we're charting quantity and unit prices on your historical line items being purchased. And then I'm going to come here real quickly. Anytime a new vendor gets added, we'll alert an admin to then kind of set it up. It takes probably less than 30 seconds, where you can choose the department. Datadog's already set up, but you would choose the department, choose the person on the team that is responsible for managing that relationship. Do you need a 1099 form? You would add approvers here that next time a bill comes in, it's going to get automatically routed to these approvers. You would set up your default treatment for this vendor in your general ledger. So just to point this out, like I have a separate credit card integration with the credit card provider I use. So usually if things are flowing through on the credit card, I turn this off in my vendors. That's the default treatment. So that doesn't need to be though. So you can set it on or off at the vendor level, and then at the invoice level as well. This is just how we pre-populate the accounting treatment. You can then split bills if you needed to split them, or just change the accounts or any settings you wanted, or even turn on a sync if it was off at the vendor level. So lots of flexibility there. And then we'll grab any ACH information off a page for payments. But if not, you can input the payment information here or request. There's functionality to request the payment instructions from your vendor, as well as like W-9 forms as well. The reason why I wanted to point this out is like we had this concept of the vendor owner being Artie. And at any time, I can send Artie what's called a vendor setup form. And Artie just received an email that basically is asking him to provide more information about this relationship. And click here to help your finance team out. So this is, Artie just clicked here. This is the homepage that he just sees. We're calling him a rock star and thanking him. But then it's one question at a time, like a type form survey. Please describe what Datadog does for us. The more details, the better. How is Datadog expected to drive value or return on investment for us? Knowing just those two questions gives you a leg up as a finance team to better categorize that relationship, maybe better model it, and then ask the right questions when it comes time to reassessing the value of the relationship. What category of spend is this vendor going to be in? If it's a variable expense, what's the KPI that's going to correlate with that? Again, very helpful if you also need to model this vendor expense. What's the billing frequency? If it's recurring, they'll get asked what's the nature of the recurring. For Datadog, we have an annual upfront, and then we get charged any overages on a monthly basis. What are your spend expectations for 12 months or the next 12 months? We don't force people to fill this out, but if they do, we will then generate that budget versus actual Glean in real time for that specific month. And then you have the vendor management component here. So who's your key contact? You can request payment information, payment instructions, or W-9 forms from this person. Our customers love this feature where they're sending this setup form to the people in the know that have access to the contracts. So whether it be a W-9 or a purchase order or a quote or any other documents, everything can be uploaded here. And then, that person or someone on your team can then just fill out what are the key dates of this relationship? What's the term? Does it renew automatically? If it does renew automatically, what's the notice period to terminate? And that's it. Most of those forms get filled out within like 2 or 3 minutes. And now everyone tagged to Datadog as an approver, as a department head role, as an admin or a finance role, has access to all these tabs here where they can see, what they do, what the ROI expectations are, what the spend expectations are. They have access to the documents here. Only admins can see the settings page here. So that's a very unique feature to help with vendor procurement, vendor management, document management. Now let me just show you how a bill gets paid. So there was, I think, 2 outstanding bills for Datadog. Here's the invoice view here. It looks like I'm the only approver on this one. I had removed Phil before the demo to just show how a payment gets made too, because I'll do that as well. So just to show you what this looks like, it looks like, if you know Datadog, everything with the word on demand, it's basically an overage cost. So on this bill, there are $812 of overages. And over the last 12 months, we were charged $86.32. So, clearly that's why we had to upsize our relationship here in July. Here's a new line item that we hadn't seen before. Here's a new Glean. Datadog, we're paying net 30 days. Other customers are paying net 90. So I should definitely pick up the phone to give them a call. And here's one of those out of period alerts. Now, from an accounting perspective, this is the default treatment that I had at the vendor level. It's turned on, and it just has hit an account called web hosting. Datadog Inc. is my supplier and my GL, and we're pulling all this information real time from a general ledger. If I wanted to edit anything, you would just kind of choose any of these fields. Of note, we are adding both product and customer fields to this. You can also split bills. So if I wanted to, split bills, I could do that here by percentage and by amount. Very easy to do so. But this looks pretty good. So I'm going to approve it. Now, upon that approval, it just wrote that journal entry. It created the bill in our general ledger system. And now it's ready for payment. So it already has the payment information stored because we grabbed it off of the ACH. And by the way, if the ACH information had changed, we would generate a Glean calling that out because we know that's a potential fraudulent sign of fraud. So this all looks good. You can pay by ACH, check, or international. You can make FX payments or pay in USD over to 180 countries. I only have one account mapped for Glean, but you can pay from multiple bank accounts. You can pay full amounts or partial payments, and then you can choose the date. So I'm actually going to pay this on the due date. And voila, it's now in action. It's now in transit. So the date the funds draw from my account, we will write the bill payment to the general ledger system and cancel out the accounts payable. Okay, well, there's a lot more functionality that I don't have time to show you today. But hopefully you get a sense of how Glean is really a game-changing software for not just finance teams, but everyone spending and touching a vendor relationship at a company. Now, to wrap up, I just want to move back to the presentation here. and just, most of our customers who are signing up for Glean today are coming off of Bill.com, and we offer a much differentiated solution. So unlike Bill.com, we do not charge per approver. It's kind of counter to our mission of having bills get scrutinized. We, of course, will do all the line item capturing of your invoices, and extract all of the header level information too. There's no data entry required with Glean. In addition, some other features include the automated prepay amortization that I showed you, the out of period and kind of the prepaid alerts that we had, as well as even attaching the PDF document to the general ledger. We know that's that is something that a lot of teams complain about, that in Bill.com, you have to click on the link, log into Bill.com, and then you can see the PDF. With Glean, when we sync the bill, we're going to sync the PDF as well. So with Glean, not only do you get much better, AP automation, but on top of that, you're getting all the spend analytics and the team collaboration, the budget planning that I showed as well. Here's the best part. It's so simple to get started. Basically, once you are up and running, it takes 5 minutes to set up an email forwarding rule where you just add us to the existing AP inbox. And then you can sync your GL within 5 minutes, sync your bank account. All that should be less than 10 minutes in total. To the extent we're processing historical invoices for you, we can grab them off of Bill.com through the auditor access, and then even map how you have synced those vendors in the past, what the default option tends to be, and kind of get that set up. So we do all the heavy lifting in terms of historical processing and setting up the vendors for you. And then you're ready to get started. We literally have clients get up and running within an hour. This is not like a NetSuite integration that's going to take months. At most, it might take a couple of days based on the level of historical processing that we do. And then in terms of pricing, we always get this question. We do have a startup plan for companies with less than 35 invoices a month. And then it kind of just tiers from there. So, as I pointed out, we offer unlimited users. We have a free benchmarking basically service that if you're about to negotiate a new relationship or have an upcoming renewal, we'll give you a data dump of kind of aggregated data that we see across the board for specific products and services. So that's unlimited. ACH and check payments are free. International payments are $10 each, and you get the whole platform in one. So, as your business scales and as we process more invoices for you, it just scales with the amount. And that is it. So thank you very much for your attention today and your interest in Glean. I encourage you to reach out to us at Glean.ai and sign up for a more detailed demo. We love to show you the power of Glean and help you spend more intelligently. Thank you so much.